If you wanted visible abs after 40, the last thing I would do is crunches, planks, and ab circuits. Because what actually gives you a flat and toned midsection is lowering body fat while maintaining the muscle underneath. And that process is much more about how you eat, how you train, and how you manage your overall lifestyle than it is about doing endless core workouts. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I would do if my goal was to get lean enough to see my abs after 40. And here's the good news. This process works whether you're trying to lose 50 pounds or you're already in good shape and just trying to lose the last stubborn 5. Because at the end of the day, the strategy is the same. The difference is simply how long you stay consistent with it. With that said, the first thing I would do is establish a starting point. That simply means figuring out roughly how many calories my body needs to maintain its weight before I start trying to lose fat. Once I know that number, I can make small adjustments instead of guessing. A simple way to estimate maintenance calories is to multiply body weight by about 14. So if I weighed around 140 pounds, that would put my maintenance calories somewhere around 2,000 calories per day. From there, I would structure my diet around protein first. For women over 40, protein becomes especially important. As we age, the body becomes less efficient at stimulating muscle protein synthesis, which means we need a little bit more protein to send the same muscle building signal. A good target is roughly 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So at 140, that will land somewhere around 112 to 140 grams per day. Keeping protein in this range helps preserve lean muscle while dieting, which is critical because muscles is what keeps your metabolism higher and gives your body that toned appearance. As body fat decreases or the diet continues for longer periods, I would gradually bump protein slightly higher. This helps maintain lean muscles as calories get lower. In fact, in this 2016 study found that individuals consuming around 1.1 grams of protein per pound of body weight were able to gain muscle and lose fat even while dieting. After protein is set, the rest of the calories can be divided between fats and carbs. Dietary fats should generally stay around 20 to 30% of total calories. Fats support hormone production, nutrient absorption, and overall health, which becomes increasingly important during and after the hormonal changes that happen as we age. Carbs would then fill in the remaining calories. Carbs play a major role in fueling workouts and recovery, so I would typically keep them higher on training days, especially in meals before and after lifting. On the rest of the days, they might come down slightly since energy demands are lower. This isn't something you have to do, but as the diet goes on and calories get lower, your workout performance can start to slip. Adjusting your carb intake around training can sometimes help keep your energy and performance from dropping too much. That said, I wouldn't stress about perfectly hitting every gram of carbs and fats. As long as your protein intake is solid and your total calories are where they need to be, the rest can stay fairly flexible. The next step would be creating a calorie deficit. Once I know roughly how many calories I'm eating and how my macros are structured, the goal is simply to make sure I'm consistently burning slightly more energy than I'm consuming. That's what drives fat loss. The way I monitor that is pretty straightforward. I weigh myself each morning under the same conditions, then I take the average of those weigh-ins across the week. That weekly average becomes the number that actually matters because day-to-day fluctuations can be misleading. After about 2 weeks of eating consistently and tracking things properly, I look at the trend. If the weekly average is trending down, that tells me the plan is working and I probably keep my calories right where they are. If my weight is basically unchanged, that usually means I'm sitting at maintenance, so I'd bring my calories down slightly, maybe 200 to 300 calories to create a deficit. If the average is going up, then I know I'm eating in a surplus and I likely reduce calories a bit more, somewhere in the 300 to 500 calorie range depending on how quickly weight is increasing. The reason I like this approach is because it removes the guesswork. Instead of reacting to one random weigh-in or one day of bloating, I'm making decisions based on clear patterns over time. That makes fat loss much more controlled and much less emotional. From there, I would focus on dialing in on my training. Since the goal is to lose fat without losing muscle, strength training becomes the priority. I'd keep the program fairly simple and structure it so that each muscle group is trained about 2 to 3 times per week. One large meta-analysis found that working each muscle group at least twice weekly leads to greater muscle growth compared to training it just once. In a more recent study, researchers compared lifters doing 9 sets once a week versus 3 sets spread over 3 sessions. Despite doing the same number of total sets, the higher frequency group gained almost twice as much muscle. But even beyond the research, there's a practical reason I like this approach. When you spread your training across the week, each workout stays more manageable. You're less fatigued during each session, your performance stays higher, and you recover better between workouts. So instead of trying to cram a ton of work into one long session, you're stimulating the muscle more frequently while keeping the quality of each set high. In terms of volume, I generally aim for somewhere around 6 to 10 challenging sets per muscle group per week. Research shows that maintaining muscle requires far less training volume than building it, so this range is usually more than enough to preserve lean muscle during the fat loss phase. That said, early in the process, especially when body fat is higher and energy levels are still good, I probably lean toward the higher end of that range, something like 8 to 10 sets per muscle per week. As the diet progresses and recovery becomes more limited, I gradually scale that down. I also wouldn't take every set to complete failure. Instead, I'd usually stop about 1 or 2 reps short. That's close enough to create a strong stimulus for the muscle while still keeping fatigue under control. That matters even more while dieting because recovery is naturally reduced. You're eating fewer calories, glycogen levels are lower, and the body simply has fewer resources available to repair and rebuild muscle tissue. If you push too hard in the gym, you can easily dig yourself into a recovery hole where performance drops and you start feeling run down. So the goal would be pretty straightforward. Train hard enough to maintain muscle. Train each muscle multiple times per week. Keep most sets close to failure and manage fatigue so recovery stays on track. As for cardio, I'd use it strategically rather than relying on it as the main fat loss tool. Cardio can certainly help, but it's not the primary driver of fat loss. Your diet creates the calorie deficit, strength training helps preserve muscle, and cardio simply increases energy expenditure a bit more. Because of that, I keep it relatively minimal and use it when needed. One reason is that excessive cardio can backfire. Long sessions, especially when you're already dieting, can drive hunger through the roof. Many people end up eating back the calories they burn, which makes staying in a deficit harder. So I'd start small, maybe 1 or 2 low-intensity sessions per week, around 15 minutes each. Then I let my progress guide the next steps. When fat loss inevitably slows down, which happens to everyone, I'd first reduce calories slightly, maybe around 100 calories per day, before adding more cardio. If it does become necessary to increase cardio, I'd do it gradually. That might mean adding another 5 to 10 minutes to each session. Eventually, I might add an additional session during the week, but only once the smaller adjustments stop working. This way, cardio remains a useful tool instead of something that becomes overwhelming or unsustainable. And lastly, I'd make sure my overall daily activity stays high, even outside the gym. When you're eating in a calorie deficit, the body has a tendency to conserve energy. Without realizing it, you start moving less throughout the day, you fidget less, you sit more, and those small changes quietly reduce the number of calories you burn. To stay ahead of that, I set a simple daily step target, somewhere in the range of about 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day. The easiest way to do that is by building movement into your normal routine. Taking a short walk after meals, choosing the stairs instead of the elevator, parking a little farther from the entrance, or simply getting up and moving more throughout the day. These small bursts of activity add up quickly, but they don't interfere with recovery or drive hunger the way long cardio sessions sometimes can. There's also research suggesting that this kind of daily movement can make a meaningful difference. One study found that adding roughly 20 minutes of walking per day increased fat loss by about 20% over a 12-week period. So the goal wouldn't be living on the treadmill. It would simply be staying active and making sure daily movement stays high. Then it's just a matter of staying consistent long enough to reach the body composition you're aiming for. Because fat loss, especially when you want to keep your muscle, isn't necessarily easy, but it is simple. Find your maintenance calories, create a modest deficit, lift weights regularly, add small amounts of cardio when needed, and keep your daily activity up along the way. And if you need a workout plan you can follow to ensure you're maintaining your muscle in the process, grab a copy of my program, Warrior Princess. It's a 6-week science-based workout program specifically created for women over 40 who want to tighten and tone their body without adding inches to their waistline. And right now, you can grab a copy completely free. Just click the link in the description below, enter your name and email, and you'll get instant access. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to click the like button below and subscribe for more videos so you don't miss the next one. Bye-bye now.